Welcome again to another edition of Louisiana Catalyst podcast show, The Link. We're here live at the Benoit Recreation Center in Monroe, Louisiana. I'm one of your co-hosts, Duran Talley, Vice President of Louisiana Catalyst. Always here with me is our president, my good friend, my brother, Mr. Quentin Durr.
How's everybody doing today?
Doing very well, man. Glad to be here. And we have, folks call him Uncle Roy. To me, he's Mr. Roy. Mr. Roy Heatherly, he is our Chamber of Monroe president and CEO.
Correct.
And so we're certainly glad to have you,
Thank you for
Mr.
having
Roy.
me. Thank you for what you guys do, too. It's amazing what you're doing with the Louisiana Catalyst, with entrepreneurial stuff, and with the Benoit. It's all great.
Yes, sir. And we honestly, we couldn't do it without relationships such as with your chamber, the work that you're also doing with the West Monroe Chamber, and just kind of creating that synergy for conversation and dialogue about what workforce looks like, what business and entrepreneurship looks like in our area. So just kind of, open up with us and just kind of tell us where we're at with things.
Well, we're in a very good spot. Everything's looking very well. Everything's working very well. Almost 3 months ago, we brought Adam Alexander on as our workforce coordinator, and he's a joint employee between us, West Monroe. He actually works through the police jury, but he has hit the street running. So he's putting together a huge workforce summit September 21st. His job is to work with all the education people, all the people that have job openings, and all the people looking for jobs, and he's the connector. He's the guy that brings that all together. So that's one piece of it. You mentioned we walked in. We had the regional summit last week, which was really, really a cool thing to have. The first time, I think, in a long time, if ever, we've ever had that. Congresswoman Letlow, again, is just amazing. Commissioner Strain was here. Secretary Pearson was here. We had a wonderful day. Dr. Berry, Dr. Esther shared some insights and everything. So we've got that going on. We've got, our chamber has a big golf tournament next month, which is going to be a lot of fun. We've got our cybersecurity workshop that's happening October 27th. We're still trying to confirm the governor to come in. So a lot of good stuff going on.
Awesome. And you can hear the names that you're sharing and to give our viewers, our listeners, an opportunity to kind of understand. You mentioned Congresswoman Letlow.
Right.
Obviously, that's our representative at the national level up in D.C.
Sure.
Then you mentioned some of our secretaries and commissioners here at the state level.
Right.
And then, of course, our President Berry at ULM, Chancellor Esther over at Delta, and you hear all these names, entities, layers coming together to kind of create where we are today, and I think that's special.
Yeah, it's really special, and I was really intrigued because you all have been part of all the collaboration that's been going on, and you're seeing the collaboration between Monroe, West Monroe, the chambers, and you see Dr. Esther's and Dr. Berry working. Well, it goes beyond that. You guys are, Quentin in particular, is very familiar with everything going on in Lincoln Parish. Mm-hmm. Well, Mayor Walker's involved with a lot of the conversation. So is Louisiana Tech. So is Grambling. Mm-hmm. And so Northeast Louisiana is realizing that together we're stronger. And that the more we can do together, the stronger we'll be. And what I found really interesting last week was Commissioner Strain. When he was talking about, and he painted this world picture. And he showed Northeast Louisiana where we're in the world picture. Mm-hmm. And the two things that are happening right now that are impacting the world is food shortages and water shortages. And what do we have an abundance of right here in Northeast Louisiana? Now we have some aqua Sparta, we have some issues there, mm-hmm. but we do have a lot of water. And this agriculture is one of our wheelhouses here. So I find us very poised to do some great things in the next few years.
Yeah, I think, we talk a lot about regionalism and the fact that when we came and started Catalyst, it was very, for me, comforting to know after meeting with you that, okay, we have another Chamber of Commerce support, but then it layered on and got even more critical for us when, Chris and you both wanted to do the podcast. We're able mm-hmm. to collaborate with that and be able to show some unity because before, you took office, before Chris was there, before Friday, Catalyst, when we first started, we were having to fight these silos, and it made it very difficult for us to do business. So as that tide kind of changed, it's been very easy to step in and start working with And that's always been our case, a regional mindset of serving Lincoln, Union, Ouachita. And to be in Monroe and have the city support and be on the chamber board and help direct business and just help people grow, it's been really nice having partners like the chamber. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome, and thank you. I think we have to really, it is deliberate. I think it's all deliberate that we all are working together, and we have to recognize that we can remain as individuals, but we can work together to bring our whole community forward. I'm happy West Monroe Energy landed, 170 jobs. I think that is the greatest thing, because to think they'll stop at the river is crazy. They'll come over to Monroe and shop and eat and do all these things. They'll live over in Monroe. And same if when things begin to happen, Mayor Ellis has a lot on the drawing board right now. When those things begin to happen, everybody in the region, Columbia, when that all gets ramped up down in Columbia, we're all going to benefit, because they're going to come to Ouachita Parish to do all those things. So, and I think that's hurt us in the past. I think, though, now we've got different, I think we have different leadership.
Right.
Yeah. No, when people think about being together, that means that absolutely everything we do, it's oneness, one. We can be together and still operate independently as efficient and effective. That the difference, though, is that when we're doing what we're doing, it also supplements or complements, with an E, not an I, complements, my neighbor next to me.
Absolutely.
And that's the regional mindset. It's not about conforming one together, but it's complementing one to another. And this is my strength, that can be your strength. Together, we put our strengths next to each other. That makes our region, that makes quality of life for all our citizens, all of our entrepreneurs and small business owners, our college students as they're graduating. It creates more opportunity for them to stay, whether on this side of the river or that side of the river, north or south. But if we can keep them here in this 12, 14 parish Northeast Louisiana, we win.
Absolutely. And I think I think nothing defines that better than the downtowns. I think Mayor Ellis, with his downtown master plan and hiring Nerali to come in and work that Main Street and work that downtown, complements what Adrian's doing over in West Monroe and the great things that are happening there and both sides of the river. I mean, think about how cool that will be for young people to come and stroll across the river and use the marinas on both sides, or go to Flying Heart, or come across and go to Flying Tiger. I mean, it's just a wonderful, to your word, complement of each other. And I think that defines it.
Absolutely. So one of the things we like to do with this podcast is highlight business resources. And so we definitely look at the chamber, and we know the struggle. We had John McKinney on last week from Union Parish, and we're going to meet with Will, and we've meet with Chris and talk about what the chamber struggles are. But what is the big focus for the Monroe Chamber when it comes to small business? And what do y'all hope to do in the next year?
So our mission is to create an environment where local businesses thrive. So going into this year, we created 10 committees, for lack of a better term, that were to focus on that. One of those being healthcare, technology. We do have a small business committee. We've got a membership committee. We've got I mentioned healthcare, diversity committee. Our goal was for each of those committees to figure out how we can help small business. That's our main idea, is how can we help small business. So one of the things we're doing right now is we're partnering with Monroe City, and we're doing meet and greets, town hall meetings. We had Midtown Merchants last week, and then we've already met with the realtors. We're meeting again with the realtors. We've met out at Pecanland Mall. Interesting fact for you guys, do you know the number one attraction for out-of-town people coming to Ouachita Parish? Do you know what it is?
No, sir.
Pecanland Mall.
Mall of the Zoo,
and 2 million plus visitors a year come to that mall. We've got about 45 to 55,000 cars a day going down I-20, and it is a draw to pull people into our community. So we've had some meetings out there as well. But to answer your question, everything and anything we can do to help small business. We did our diversity survey. If you go to our website, which is www.monroe.org, you can see results of surveys that we had. Plus, we've got some resource sheets that small business can reach out. If you're DBE, if you're, we got resources for those as well. So trying to trying to help small business find ways that they can be more impactful and how their business can be helped. Our healthcare committee is getting ready to roll out some stuff too. So, I mean, it's, I mentioned the cybersecurity workshop. That came because we surveyed our membership twice, and they said cybersecurity as a small business, as a big business, is something that we feel very threatened by, and we need to know more about it. So we've brought in some big guns, and we're putting some things together on that.
No, that's incredible. When you talk about, the mall being the number one attraction here to this area, and as a citizen and, person that goes to the mall, shop or consumer, we don't, local person, we don't think of that mall. Oh, the mall is dead. The mall is nothing. There's never anything in the mall,
Yeah.
How have you all thought about kind of changing that taste or perspective of the local perception of what the mall looks like, or are there any conversations around maybe evolving it to something maybe like Destin Commons, I think about in Florida, or the Hammond Square in South Louisiana? I'm not sure if you're
We
familiar with
haven't
those.
gotten that far. Ken Wyckoff has just come back in and taken over. What we have done, though, is if you notice down I-20, there's some challenges with signage for the mall. And Brookfield does not, this is just a corporate philosophy. They don't spend a lot on like billboards and things like that. But if you look at the DOTD signs, they don't really tell people where the mall is until you're right on the exit. And if you miss it going either way, it's hard to get back. It's hard to get back to it.
Right.
So we brought DOTD in to meet with the mall management, and they're working on some things. We've also recruited Alana Cooper and the Discover Monroe, West Monroe. They're coming in and they're talking with Ken. So we're trying to figure out things like that. I know Ken has some things he's doing with ULM from pep rally perspectives and some events that he's planning there. I was surprised you mentioned, 82%, they're 82% occupied at Pecanland Mall, which is great. It's going to be even more important that mall be strong as Garrett Road begins to develop. I mean, you can look at that whole Kansas Lane project, the widening of I-20, the Garrett Road thing, and then what's going to develop between the mall and Millhaven. There's some pretty cool things happening here, and it's all going to benefit that mall, but it will benefit Ouachita Parish totally. And I mean, I always tell people, you won't recognize this area in 5 years. There's so many cool things getting ready to happen. I mean, we could talk forever on the Biomedical Research Park. We could talk on VCOM. I mean, the fact that this community has a medical school here that is they have a $60 to $70 million impact a year on our community, and they're just on their third class. I mean, they're going to bring their fourth class in next year. They're going to start graduating. The whole philosophy of that school is to put doctors in rural areas. Well, what better place to do that? It is. I mean, Farmerville, that's where you're from, and there's a need for that. And so I am so excited to be where I'm at right now, and for all of us to be here, to be part of this. Because I tell, when you hear me speak sometimes, I always say it's a beautiful day in Monroe, Louisiana, and I believe that because it really is. And I think the more we talk about that, the more it'll be. But I tell people too that 30 years from now, people are going to come in and they're going to talk about Duron Talley. They're going to talk about Quentin Durr. They're going to talk about these people who stepped up and has changed everything here, and they'll be standing on your shoulders. And I think that's really cool, and you guys should be proud of that.
No, thank you, Roy.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll just say thank you for everything you've done, because we talked about, we had DJ on before and talking about the energy, and me and Rick have talked about this, and being from, I travel the whole state with Origin Bank, so I see a lot of different communities, but Monroe has really had a renewed spirit, and that's really been spearheaded by you, Friday, and some others that really have brought a new energy and direction and even innovation. I think about going to Jackson, Tennessee with y'all, and just to see another community and doing things like that versus just staying here going, well, this is all we know, this is all we got. It's being innovative and collaborating with other like cities and bringing those new thoughts back, and how do we use the resources we have to the best of our abilities. So
well, thanks. Yeah, thank you. This is just a great time to be here. You know that. It's just it's so cool. It really is.
Yeah, well, Mr. Roy, again, man, we thank you for
Well, thanks for having me.
everything you all are doing at the chamber, and then just your influence and your energy around shifting the perspective of the leaders and the professionals around the community, man. It definitely makes a difference.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being on here.
Absolutely.
Anything the chamber can do to help this show, Louisiana Catalyst, or whatever, just let us know.
Likewise.
And we appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
All right, good deal. Thanks.
Awesome.
And thank you, Rick.
Awesome. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of The Link here at Harvard Benoit Recreation Center.